Picture this. It's 1916. The whole world is just consumed by the roar of the First World War. Millions are fighting and dying in the trenches. But a completely different kind of battle, a much quieter one, was just about to begin. While all that chaos was unfolding, this other enemy started to creep across the globe. It was silent, insidious, and nobody had any idea what it was. How did this enemy announce itself? Not with explosions, not with a bang. It started with something totally mundane, a yawn. But this wasn't just being a little tired. This was a deep, overwhelming sleepiness that you just couldn't fight. This was so much more than just feeling tired. No, this was a pandemic that literally stopped people in their tracks, turning them, well, into living statues. Between 1916 and the late 1920s, this bizarre plague swept across the entire world, affecting nearly 5 million people. 5 million! And then, it just kind of vanished. Eventually, it got a name: Encephalitis Lethargica. It basically means inflammation of the brain that makes you tired. But listen, the real horror here, it wasn't asleep. Oh no, it was the waking nightmare that came with it. They weren't asleep. Not really. They were prisoners, trapped inside what you could only call a conscious coma. You hear your family crying, you see the world moving on, but you cannot move. You can't speak. You can't do anything to let them know you're still in there. It's like a waking sleep paralysis that just never ends. This was not a coma. The mind was wide awake. It was buzzing, thinking, feeling, fully conscious, all while the body was just an emotionless shell. Hospitals worldwide started filling up with these silent, motionless people. They were like eerie wax museums. But the statues were alive and thinking.
For decades, there was just nothing. No hope. These living statues were basically forgotten by the world. But then, in the 1960s, something happened. An entire lifetime had just went by. People who got sick as kids back in the 20s were now middle-aged, locked inside their own heads. Then, Dr. Oliver Sacks wanted to try a brand new drug called L-Dopa. It was astonishing, like something out of a fairy tale. He gives them the first dose, and there's a flicker of life. A muscle twitches, an eye moves, and then a voice. A word spoken after decades of absolute silence. People who hadn't moved in 40 years were sitting up, talking, walking. They were waking up. But imagine the other side of that joy. A profound, unbelievable shock. They fell asleep in the 1920s and woke up in a world of televisions, rock and roll, and men walking on the moon. Their bodies had aged 40 years. They were strangers in a world they didn't recognize. Because the miracle didn't last. It wasn't permanent. The drug just started to lose its effect. They felt themselves slipping away, fully aware of the silent, motionless prison that was returning for them. They remembered what it was like to be free, to talk, to move. And now they had to experience it all being ripped away from them. The plague just disappeared as suddenly as it appeared, leaving millions of lives destroyed and a million questions in its wake. If we never knew what it was, how can we possibly know it's gone for good? Could it return? We just don't know. The greatest mystery isn't out there in the stars. It's right here, inside our own heads, our own consciousness. This delicate thing that, as this story proves, can be lost in an instant.